We're off to Bane of War as I take on the Soviet Tankovy in round 1. Pincer. We're still running the same list I ran when I was trying to train for this tourney, but I admit having some real late moment jitters and wanting to switch it up to a Stug company. Apologies for not having an Armies on Parade shot for my buddy Ian's list, but Bane of War, like many tournaments, especially the Nationals, is a very busy tournament, and there's just not enough time to take care of that. However, my buddy Ian's list here consists of 3 groups of Tankovy, a mixed group of T-3485s and T-3476s, and some Rezveki scout groups with the 50 cal machine gun on them. It's a pretty challenging list, a lot of tanks. And here you can see where we've placed the objective. He's placed his objective far forward, near some woods, but just far enough away that it's going to be difficult to hold on to him, while I placed my objective on the southern end of the board, well into a wheat field, right next to a building, in such a way that he's going to have to plow into the building if he wants to get rid of me. My defense, however, is in depth. I placed both of the platoons, mixed with the HMGs and with their Panzerschreck teams, on this side of the board. I place him real deep in there. I double him up because I think he's going to challenge that objective right there, and I'm pretty certain I can't really afford to put one platoon there because I'm pretty sure he's just going to overrun the platoon and wipe them all off the board. Which begs the question, why do I bring any of them if I think they can't handle this one specific task that every one of these Rifle MG Panzerfaust teams are capable of taking care of? But I deploy him real thick on there. He decides to go ahead and deploy one of his Tankovy platoons or companies on the southern end of the board, challenging the objective that I bothered not to take care of. He also puts the Rezveki right next to him, and then he puts the other platoons in the middle of the board to challenge the near company amount of infantry that we have here guarding the white objective, his objective. It's pretty clear the dividing point is there's going to be 2 companies of T-34s against the infantry, 1 company of T-34s opposing nothing, with the Rezveki guarding them or escorting them along the side. This woods here is going to be the only thing that actually slows them down any, and is going to be very pivotal, especially with this little gap on the other side that I can't see. So, as I got an ambush platoon in this scenario, which is going to be the Panthers, they're definitely going to have to take care of them now before it becomes a problem later on. So I'm going to try to take on those T-34s on the southern end. I'm going to let the Panthers try to take care of them, and let the infantry soak up all those T-34s. Panthers pop out of the wheat field. They're in an opportune position in the middle of the board to take on anything that comes at them, which is kind of unwise in retrospect, but they're in a great position to shoot up those T-34s that are swinging around the side. We have a Panther sitting in the back right there. He's also just close enough to contest the objective in the backboard, given the opportunity to move and do so. This T-34 group on the southern end of the board, on what is going to be my right side right here, right in front of the woods, they are my target. They're a little smaller than everyone else, and it's quite possible that the Panthers can destroy them. First round of shooting, manages to bail one, destroys one of the T-34s, and a turn that could have gone better, but I'm going to live with it. And with that, the noose is tightening. You can see here that on the north end of the board, his T-34s have skirted around the side of the board, but I measured it out. It's about 4 inches all around there. He gets close to any of those infantries, and they're going to start lighting them up with all those fancy little rockets that they're just handing out like candy at this point in the war. He's also got a lot of tank riders on him, so it makes him double scary. He continues to move the T-34s around the woods towards the Panthers, keeping them pretty well occupied as the Rezveki move on to the southern end of those woods. Now I can't even engage the Rezveki. The clock is ticking and I got to do something about them. We're also using the version of the reserve rules, which is important to point out, where you have to select where the reserves are going to come on before you start the game. And I made a very fortuitous decision regarding that. I get real antsy here, and I figure I need to move the Panthers. I need to back them up, to make them hide, because I thought I learned my lesson. But instead, I just face down the Soviet horde and tell the Panthers to make do with what they got, because we need to cause as much damage as possible. And ostensibly, he can't really hurt me. I'm just going to angle the armor for now and hope for the best. He decides to go ahead and shoot up my infantry and tries to assault, but it ends up being an absolute disaster as the entire group is pushed back under the fusillade of Panzerfaust and Panzerschreck fire. Go infantry. I wasn't really expecting that. At this point in the tournament, I'm just expecting them just to kind of whittle away, but they don't. My turn rolls around and I get air support, and they just happen to be able to zone in on that T-34 company that I really want to disappear so I can send the Panthers off to go take care of something else. So again, the Panthers buckle down to do as much damage as they can. The Focke-Wulf zeroes in on the T-34s. We're going to try to do as much damage as possible, take care of it, and then bugger off for a turn or two. Maybe engage those T-34s, because I just really do not want them up in my lines. But look at all that smoke! We managed to destroy just about everything when 5 shots off the Panthers manages to connect, and I managed to get 5 kills. They end up turning around running away. I have nothing to divert the fighter into, and the fighter has to bugger off. Infantry on the north side of the board begin shooting at the Tankovy that's still sitting around there. They just managed to be just close enough that the Panzerschreck teams can actually kill a few things. But rounding into turn 3, I did not notice just how vulnerable my ace in the hull Panther to contest the objective really was, as he manages to get 2 shots off at it and just manages to kill it. Well, that's gonna hurt. He opts to continue peppering the infantry, but he doesn't engage. And in a moment of misguided attention, I lose another Panther as the T-34s manage to get another lucky shot as this T-34, noted right here, this guy way here in the back, managed to be just behind the front armor and pumps him full of rounds. Manages to get the kill and take another Panther out. He peppers the infantry with everything else, but this ends up being a lesson that I don't soon forget as I just start using the last of the movement phase as an opportune time to angle the armor on any of the tanks. He goes ahead and tries to pepper the infantry again with the rest of the fire that he has, but right now he's just buying for time. So the Panther starts backing up. I thankfully decide to stay, making a reluctant morale check, and we start falling back. We got to make that tank go back to the objective, because just off camera, to the left, the Rezveki are contesting the objective on my back half of the board. And if I don't do something now, it's going to be a problem. I get my reserves, but like I mentioned before, I selected the wrong side. In my incontinent mental state, I thought that the infantry were just going to completely hose it. And so I neglected to defend the southern objective. I just thought, you know, they need all the help they can get, which begs the question, why even bring them if they're just going to die? And I let the Panzer III training tanks come in on the wrong side of the board. If they were with the Rezveki on the other side of the board, this wouldn't have even been a problem. And as you can see, victory is slowly evading my grasp. As I move the infantry forward, I decide, okay, let's go for a company break, right? And we managed to kill 2 more tanks, cause a company morale check on that platoon, and that platoon will go off the board. I do everything I can to light up everything else, but it's just too little too late. There's no morale check for his battalion, and he takes the game. It ends up being a 4-3 for Ian, or 5-3 with the odd rules that they're using at Bane of War, and that's just it. I put too much firepower into this platoon right here. I thought, you know, just one or the other would be enough. I mean, I just really wanted to kill. I didn't realize that the Panthers are going to be that effective. But what can you do? This has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching.